Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Ambassador's Lounge. Ladies and gentlemen, ever since Mr. Trump has come to power, he has fired salvos of tariffs on a number of countries. He complains that those countries have a serious trade balance in their favor against United States, and to create more jobs, to maintain a balance in trade with those countries, he was compelled to slap tariffs on those countries. Among the three top countries who have serious trade balance in their favor are China, Vietnam, and Mexico, Canada. How these tariffs are going to affect the economy of United States itself, the economy of China and other countries. Today we are going to focus only on the trade war that has been unleashed by Mr. Trump against China. What effect it is going to have on the economy of United States and that of China. Today we have to discuss on this issue. We have with us Ambassador Masood Khalid, who is probably the longest serving Pakistan ambassador to China. And I have my colleague as my co-panelist, Ambassador Amjad Sher. Let me start, Ambassador Masood Sahab, with a question. Do you think that Mr. Trump is a nightmare or a dream come true for China?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. He himself says that I love tariffs. This is the most favorite word, in his vocabulary. So, but we have seen that there is a lot of on and off. Before coming into power, he declared that he is going to impose 60% tariffs on Chinese products, Chinese imports. And then he slashed it down, and I think he started with 10% and then plus. And as you rightly pointed out, he has also imposed tariffs on Mexico and Canada. And all these countries have, by the way, retaliated. Yes. China has also retaliated. China has also imposed tariffs on American exports, a lot of farm products which China imports from the United States. So this is just a beginning. And I don't think that he's going to be a nightmare for China, because China appears prepared to face the situation. China was expecting that President Trump will, impose such restrictions on its imports. But by the way, trade is about, I think, nearly $700 billion.
That's right, yes.
Heavily in favor of China,
400
plus, or 400 billion plus, yes, or something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, two economies are very closely intertwined. Roughly 2 million jobs in America are created by Chinese companies, Chinese multinationals. So it is not that easy to become a nightmare for China. But this is the general approach which I think President Trump has and which he is following. So let us see what happens. I think China will retaliate its own way. One thing we should try to understand is that China contemplates, and at times it appears, that why China is not retaliating. Why immediately there is no response from China. But China takes its time to go through, its own reflection, and then comes up with the retaliation. So the knee-jerk reaction generally is avoided in Chinese policy.
Sir, when I asked you this question, whether Mr. Trump is a nightmare for China or a dream come true, I had in my mind that China's economy is slowing down. It is suffering from some kind of recession right now. And imposition of tariffs on China is definitely going to have further negative effects. But at the same time, it is being said that Mr. Trump's arrival is It's a dream come true for Mr. Xi Jinping, because when he sees that Mr. Trump is dismantling his relationship with security relationship with European Union, and is also up against Denmark, is thinking of grabbing Greenland there. These countries are slowly drifting away from United States, which hitherto were with US right now. Now, this provides probably an opportunity for Mr. Xi Jinping to go for his own view of democratization of international order. How do you think about that?
There are two aspects to your question. One is the political aspect and the other is economic. So let's talk about the economic first. I agree with you that the Chinese economy is also under pressure, and of course with these tariffs, and even European Union have also imposed certain tariffs on Chinese products. But at the same time, ASEAN is their largest trading partner, followed by European Union and then the United States. So this is the order in which China's global trade takes place. So I don't think that, first of all, I mean, Chinese have bought these US treasuries. They have invested in US debt, although they have scaled it down lately. It was more than $1 trillion. Now it has come to around $800 billion plus or something. Secondly, the Chinese investments, for example, Tesla. Now, Elon Musk is now a key advisor of President Trump, right? Tesla has the largest automobile plant in China, Shanghai. When it comes to nitty-gritty and when you go into details, I don't think that President Trump will take an action which can be construed as too drastic so as to affect, for example, the business interest of Elon Musk in China. So there is going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of hype, rhetoric, bluster, which is you have seen this and which is synonymous with his personality. So this kind of things will continue. But China has, first of all, China's saving rate is quite high compared to the Americans. China's liquidity is also quite solid. They are facing problem because consumption has come down. But in the recent party congress last week, they have fixed a target of 5% GDP growth. And they are investing a lot on high-tech industry. So that is where China has an advantage. Look at, for example, I went there 2 years ago to China, and I saw that, the Chinese automobile market, the Tesla was so popular. And I said, my God, Tesla has really dominated. And in a year and a half period, Tesla's market has gone down because the Chinese automobiles, electric cars, have replaced Tesla now in China. People are preferring Xiaomi's electric car and the BYD. So this is the kind of dynamics which is going on. Yes, I think China will come under pressure, and if in concert with the United States, some European countries, for example, Japan, which are partners of the United States, they also impose restrictions on Chinese products, Australia. Then I think China will come under more pressure. But I think Chinese are quite capable of, they have great resilience. This is their great strength. And I think they can put up, and they will also squeeze, they will tighten these American companies who are working in, multinationals who are working in China. And I think what will happen is that as a deal maker, he will put some pressure initially on China in order to get some kind of accommodation. So I think that trade war with China may not sustain for long. There will be some kind of understanding. China will also make certain concessions. For example, this product which is called fentanyl. Now, Chinese say that we have been accused of exporting fentanyl, but while we have imposed very strict restrictions and regulatory, controls over its export. So they have their own version. Americans have their own version. Americans say you keep the currency, devalued, and intellectual property issues, this and that. But China says that if you have these issues, then you should go to the WTO, which is practically dysfunctional now.
Thank you, sir. The US-China relationship is always one of the most contentious in the world. And the Trump's stated policy now is peace through strength. By imposing or announcing tariffs on Chinese goods, which in 2017 the Chinese export to, in 2017 it was $370 billion, and American US exports to China was $110 billion, which obviously might have gone up. So by announcing these tariffs measures, one is that is Trump seeking some more measures or concessions or some kind of leverage over China in other issues like Strait of Taiwan, like South China Sea, like North Korea, and maybe some other regions, issues, international issues?
Yes, definitely. I agree with you on the political level, because President Trump is not the only one who will drive the American foreign policy. There is a full establishment, there is a deep state, there is a military industrial complex. So even if you are the president of a country, you are driven by your advisors. So that is a different dynamics. But you have given good figures. We must also see that when Trump imposed tariffs in his previous stint, that did not work. That policy, tariff policy against China did not work effectively. At that time in 2017, American tariffs on Chinese imports were to the extent of 3%. And now cumulatively with the current and the previous Biden administration, the incidence of tariffs on Chinese imports into the United States is nearly 38 to 39%. And if you look at if you read the American literature now, American newspapers, American commentators, informed analysts are saying that this is not going to work. Every day there is an article in Washington Post and New York Times, and I will come to that political question also, which you raised. There is this gentleman who has written a book, Rush Doshi. He has written a very thick book on China, and he is a Sinophile, long war. Now the importance of that book is that he was in the National Security Council during Biden administration. So that book became kind of a template for the Indo-Pacific strategy. So his views are given a lot of weightage. Now, I was reading his latest interview, and he says that, well, this is of course a push by President Trump to impose tariffs on China, but most likely it's not going to work, because China will also retaliate, and eventually President Trump is also going to back off, in that sense. Now, coming to your political question about whether he would like to strike bargains on North Korea. Last time he did try with North Korean, he met Kim Jong-un twice, nothing happened. Because Korean question, you have also served in Korea, I have also served in Korea, it's a very vexing question. It is not that easy. But yes, on hot spots like Taiwan, President Trump is not going to touch. He is going to be less belligerent compared to President Biden, I think, because Taiwan is a red line. And if he says that he's a peacemaker, why would he entangle China in for example, in Taiwan Strait, where independent studies like, for example, that of Red Corporation, they have concluded that if there is a clash between China and United States on Taiwan, America will be a loser. You see, these studies have been there. So my point is that yes, Philippines will be propped up, India will be propped up in South Asia. Overall, in the context of Indo-Pacific strategy, I don't think there's going to be a major diminution of US policy in terms of containing China. That policy at the strategic level, at the diplomatic level, political level, military level, that will continue. This trade is because he's a businessman, he wants to show also, we want to maintain good relationship. But whether he will succeed in that only time can tell.
Sir, again, in continuation of this question, is Hindustan Times recently reported that India has also retaliated to the tariffs imposed by President Trump's regime on India, and now India has imposed 150% tariffs on American alcohol, 100% on agriculture products. Now coming to the Chinese side, that if there is this huge trade deficit between the United States of America and China is exporting more to the United States of America as against the Americans exporting. So this is what maximum the United States is exporting to China is the agriculture products, pork, soya bean, and maybe some dairy products, and maybe some weapons or some things which the Chinese needed. But on the other hand, Chinese are exporting electronics, chemicals, electric vehicles, and steel and aluminum and many other things. So this is in fact the inbuilt flaw and the dysfunctioning in the American system, that not producing items capable of being exporting to United States. So why they are now punishing, and as a result, the American consumer is going to face, the tariffs is not going to be paid by the government, but by the consumer.
You see, of course, America consumes more than it produces, right? President Trump is also saying that manufacturing capacity should come back to United States.
It is because of the high cost production.
High cost. Now, for example, he has this TSMC, which is the biggest chip maker of Taiwan. They have announced that they will invest $100 billion in the United States in chip making. So what President Trump, other than tariff, he will also contain China in the technology domain, like for example this high-tech items, like microchips, etc. So this is a part of the policy. It is being done. I think
it will take another 4 or 5 years.
This is what I'm coming to. Manufacturing capacity is not that easy to develop. It doesn't happen in 1 year or 2 years. Automobile industry, either Koreans have dominated or the Chinese are dominating now the American automobile market. So how this is going to happen? Consumer, for example, today he announced, I think, a figure of 500% tariff on French wines, European wines?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah.
Never heard such a thing before, right? Yeah. So who is going to suffer if the Chinese imports become costly in United States? The ordinary consumer will suffer. I was reading somewhere that the incidence, the cumulative effect of these tariffs, not only on China but other countries also, if effective, and if because he changes time and again, hypothetically, if they are imposed, an ordinary American consumer will have to pay $1,200 per year.
Some say even 1,700.
Something.
Yeah.
So already eggs are very expensive in America, which was selling for $3. They are now selling for $9 to $10, 12 eggs. So American consumer is going to suffer. So this is not that easy. 140 countries of the world have China as their largest trading partner. If you talk of Europe, it is divided. They don't see eye to eye with the Americans on their commercial and business interest with China. Same is true for ASEAN countries. They also have. So this is a divided world. And what is happening is, because of these measures or policy steps or announcements which are also reverted within 48 hours or reversed, it is creating a lot of disturbance in the international order, political order,
supply chain
disruption. And so China will have to secure its flanks. China will have to be more agile and quick in responding to these steps. Well, let's see what happens, but my own feeling is that China will be prepared, and they will do cost cutting internally in terms of expenditure and all that, but they will not compromise on high-tech development of high-tech areas and innovation technologies. They will go on.
But China is already facing three challenges at this point: demography, 3Ds, demography, debt, and deflation.
Debt is internal debt. That can be handled. Yes, it's a problem. I'm not denying that. It's a problem. But that can be handled, through fiscal and monetary measures. Demographics, China is not the only one who's facing demographic. All East Asian countries, China, Japan, Korea, they have serious problems. So that's a long-term issue. And then unemployment. Yes, youth unemployment has risen because of this contraction in the economy. So let's see how do they do it. If they are able to achieve 5% growth target in 2025, that means China has reached its target compared to the Western economies who are just 2% or 2.3% growth rate. So this is the sort of dynamics which is, but I think it's not good for the world, what is happening. This trade war and this reckless, I would say, trade measures imposed on Canada, and what to talk of, that Canada should become a 51st state, or we'll grab clean land and we'll take over Panama. Leave that aside. But the trade measures, trade tariffs itself are going to create a lot of disturbance in international economic order, which is already in disarray. And there's a loss of faith and trust in the Western institutions, World Bank, these IFIs. Global South is clamoring. They know that the system is not serving them right. So a lot of tension and drifts. So President Trump's 50 days have unleashed a very disturbing phenomena in global politics.
Sir, the ultimate goal of all this dispute is going to come on the negotiation table. What if, God forbid, Trump also behaves like Zelensky with the Chinese leadership? How would be the scenario?
Not that easy. Not that easy. China has done a lot in terms of improving its capability, military capability and technology. Leave aside the automobile and the buses and the electric hybrid cars, this and that, or smartphones. But in terms of capability, I think they are quite secure. And they have increased defense spending again, and this time on with the same ratio which was last year.
7%, sir.
So
Defense.
I don't think that it will be that easy. This is not Europe, this is not Canada, this is not Panama. They are dealing with China. And China will, first of all, it's a matter of, because it's an emerging power, so it would not like to lose face. So it has to do, and then the party is also answerable to the populace, because that is where the grub lies, right? I mean, if they lose that credibility, then it's a big problem for the party.
So, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said that Chinese manufacturers will swallow U.S. tariffs. And he says that Chinese model is based on export, and they are going to eat United States tariffs. While on the other hand, the Chinese Foreign Office spokesperson said that if United States persists with waging tariff or trade war or any other kind of war, then China will fight to the bitter end. Is this simply diplomatic bravado, or it is quite ominous? Is China going to get into some kind of armed conflict also if the chips are down?
This is for the first time, at least if my memory serves me right, that such a strong statement has been given officially by Chinese spokesmen. That we are prepared for trade war, we are prepared for any type of war, which means within bracket military conflict.
Yes.
If that is imposed or if that is forced on us. So this is a clear warning, and this is linked to the capability which China has developed in the last 10-15 years. Number one. Number two is, as I said, it's not that easy to deal with China. They are very tough negotiators. And yes, I agree with Ambassador Amjad that finally it will, look at the last year of President Biden's administration. He sent his Treasury Secretary and his Commerce Secretary, I think twice each in 1 year. Eventually you have to sit on the table. Eventually there will be negotiations. Eventually China will also confront them, US will also confront them. So there will be concessions and they will come to an understanding. Because it's not possible for about 17,000, maybe this is a dated figure, but I remember this figure, 17,000 American companies present in China. If you talk of the American Chamber of Commerce, they will never advise that China is no longer a profitable market for them. They say we would like to continue despite problems. They have their own list of complaints, of course. So I don't think that all this is bluster.
Okay.
Lot of bluster. With others also, to coerce, to bully, to put pressure, so that when they come to the negotiating table, because if you put so much pressure on me, I will come prepared to, make certain if this happens, then I'll make this concession. So this is, I think, the strategy. But as far as geopolitics is concerned, I think Ambassador Amjad raised the issue of India retaliating. I think India is very cautious because President Trump said that India is the king of tariff king or something.
Yeah, king of tariffs. Yeah.
So India is not reacting. And I don't think that India will retaliate in the same manner if harsh tariffs are imposed on India. Secondly, I could be wrong, but my take is that Americans will avoid imposing harsh tariffs on India. Whiskey and beer and this and that, that is there, but I think India has a special place in American Indo-Pacific strategy.
What if this China-US trade war intensifies, and there are certain reports coming that maybe the United States of America may also ask the Chinese student currently studying in USA to leave?
To leave from?
To leave from the United States of America.
Yes, that is possible. But that is the worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
That means you are pushing China into a corner to retaliate. But I think Chinese are pragmatic and they are wise. They would like to avoid a conflict. They would not like to go into a military confrontation. Even on Taiwan, they will not like to. But if something is forced upon them, they have very categorically, through military posturing, through political statements, they have made it very clear that Taiwan is a red line. In 3 joint communiques between the United States and China, Americans have acknowledged that Taiwan is part of China. The first one, 1972, which was issued, after President Nixon's visit, it clearly says that at subsequent statement. So going back on that, because Taiwan is their red line. But I don't think that China would like to engage in any military conflict and try to resolve. And then they have, we were talking about the Russia-China partnership, which is also a potent counter to American brinkmanship. This is brinkmanship, right, which is happening.
Yes. Yeah. Well, sir, coming back to the same point that you just raised, United States, Mr. Trump has alienated his closest bedfellows, Canada, Mexico, and European Union, of course. And this has kind of created doubts, in the minds of the international community, whether United States is now in a position or is willing to lead the world under the liberal world order that it was one of the proponents of since 1945 up till now. Now here, China is claiming to be the leader of global South. And it is also being said that if United States does go ahead, with its naked threat of grabbing Greenland, then would not have the moral authority to stop China from any kind of aggressive action against Taiwan. And also 3-4 countries in the global South, particularly the Philippines, Australia, Japan and Korea, they are also wary of Chinese ambitions in the region particularly. And if they feel that that United States and China both are not able to establish peace in their region, then they would probably coalesce amongst themselves and form a bloc of themselves. So how do you see that China eventually going to grab Taiwan if United States goes for Greenland?
Ambassador, your question has an answer.
Okay.
You see, during President Biden's administration, President Biden tried to form a coalition of like-minded countries in the context of Indo-Pacific strategy. What is now happening is that process or that gain which was made, because you saw AUKUS, you saw Quad, you saw India-US strategic partnership and host of agreements which were signed between India and United States. So, President Biden tried and in fact succeeded to quite an extent to create a coalition of countries to counter China, right? And in fact, to counter Russia also, because it's called the double containment strategy. President Trump is reversing that process in a way by being unilateralist, by being isolationist. He is alienating his closest partners,
Yes.
neighbors. Canada, you mentioned, Mexico, trading partner, right? NAFTA and all that. Europeans. So how will this coalition be formed? What strength will it have if the big brother is not there, or big brother is not interested, or is saying, okay, you manage your own things, we will help you, but it will help you if you become a 51st state of the United States. So this is a very, the aims are not clear, the objectives are not clear, and so we should also not, I think, be carried away too much in our analysis by what is happening in Washington. In terms of, because there are reversals also, there are a lot of zigzag, on and off, Mexico, 60% tariffs I will impose on China, then from 60 to I think 25% or whatever. So let's wait and see. I think the steam within 6 months, my own take is, within 6 months, US administration will come
To terms.
to realization, to realize that this bluster has its limits. There are limits on US power, and US is no longer seen as a rising power in the world. Most of the assessments by independent scholars, yes, it's a superpower, no doubt. It's not going to erode or going to vanish in thin air. It's still a superpower, but its power is declining because of its own policies and this kind of. So President Trump is actually accelerating the process of alienating. United Nations is marginalized, European partners are marginalized, neighbors are marginalized. So all of them are uncertain. So we are living in an uncertain world, but this has become more uncertain. So let's wait and see how. I've seen, for instance, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, attending a G7 meeting in Canada, and Canadian Foreign Minister, I think, mentioned something, referred to recent pronouncements from the United States, and Marco Rubio said that he was defensive. He was defensive. So they will become defensive in due course of time. It's not possible to pick a fight with everyone,
Right.
With China, with Canada, with Mexico, grab Greenland, with Europeans, dismantle NATO. So I think we are, as the Chinese say, may we live in interesting times. So the interesting times are there, but I think turbulence.
Sir, one last question.
Sure.
Against all these recent developments taking place at the global level, do you think a new world order of multipolar coming up?
Absolutely. Multipolar world is emerging. Look at BRICS. Look at other middle powers which are coming up, emerging powers. We talk of E11 and then E17. By the way, Pakistan is also included in the E category. So we should have some satisfaction in due course of time. We will also be there, a $1 trillion economy. But right now, I think this world is going towards multipolarity, but for the next decade or so, maybe even beyond, you will have United States and China catching up. Maybe it will be 2018, 2019. In terms of PPP, China is still the largest, even now is the largest economy. So, but it depends, many hiccups can appear. So let's see, but world order is changing. It will not be possible to ignore, for example, big powers, Brazil, India, South Africa. These are emerging countries. So I think we should be cognizant of these developments, which are momentous, I must say.
Well, thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us with your views. Viewers, it was wonderful to have Ambassador Masood Khalid here, and we, as you heard, we talked about future relationship between the two powers, China and United States, how the world is going to shape up in the next 4 years as long as Mr. Trump is in the office. We will have to wait and see. But the way the things are moving right now, they are quite challenging for not only the developed countries, but also for the developing countries, how to hedge themselves against the changes, particularly the way United States is pursuing its foreign policy and economic policies all around the world. Thank you very much. We will be back, and till we come back, please subscribe our channel, and provide us with your valuable comments. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.